All right, welcome. Today, we're not just looking at a map, we're analyzing an entire operational theater. Think of this as a strategic briefing on Africa's human landscape. It's really a story of adaptation and of overcoming some pretty immense logistical challenges. Let's dive in. Our briefing starts right here, on the ground. This isn't just a market, it's a perfect microcosm of the continent's dynamic human element. So the core operational problem we're going to be looking at is this. How do you successfully deploy and sustain a population of over 1 billion people in one of the most logistically complex environments on the entire planet? So here's our mission plan. We'll start by defining the strategic landscape. Then we'll dig into the main challenge, resource distribution, and the really clever adaptive operations that grew out of it. After that, we'll look at the human factor, what came out of these strategies, and we'll wrap up with the key executive takeaways. Okay, first things first, we have to understand the operating environment. We're talking about the world's second largest continent, a place that's really defined by its huge scale and its environmental extremes. This is the background for every single human decision that comes next. And here's the key metric, over 1.2 billion people. Now, from a strategic point of view, that's a massive human asset. But where those people are isn't random at all. It's actually the result of centuries of strategic decisions. And that's the crucial point. The population map of Africa isn't arbitrary. It's a strategic map, one that's been drawn over thousands of years by the unyielding logic of the environment. Simply put, people live where the resources allow them to operate and, well, to succeed. Which brings us right to the main operational challenge, the really uneven distribution of essential resources. And in Africa, just like in any large-scale operation, one resource is absolutely paramount: water. These are the non-negotiables for setting up any kind of permanent base. The data couldn't be clearer. You see dense populations clustered around reliable water sources, like the Nile River, along coastlines with good harbors, and in regions with consistent rainfall. Without water, any long-term settlement is basically a failed operation from the start. Now, what you're looking at here is a direct tactical response to that very challenge. This is center pivot irrigation in Libya, and it's tapping into underground rivers. It's a technological solution, a huge strategic investment to basically engineer a resource where it doesn't naturally exist on the surface. It's a fantastic example of overcoming environmental limits with pure ingenuity. So, this leads us to the solutions. See, the response to these environmental challenges wasn't one size fits all. Instead, two main operational models evolved, and each one was perfectly designed to ensure success in these incredibly diverse climates. I want you to think of these as two different business models, both perfectly adapted to their markets. Settled agriculture, that's like building a factory where you've got a guaranteed supply chain, reliable water, fertile soil. Nomadic pastoralism, on the other hand, is like an agile mobile startup designed to find and exploit scattered resources in an environment where things are scarce. And this image just brilliantly illustrates that mobile strategy. This herder in the Sahel isn't just wandering around. No, he is executing a very precise, seasonally driven logistical plan. He's moving his assets, his livestock, to where the resources are. It's really a masterclass in risk management and adaptation. So, let's think about the ultimate operational test case, the Sahara. It's this massive barrier that separates the north from the rest of the continent. So how do you maintain supply lines? How do you facilitate trade? And how do you even sustain life across it? The answer is the oasis. And an oasis isn't just a pretty pool of water. It's a critical piece of infrastructure. It's a strategic node, a service station, and a trading post all in one. And it's what makes movement and commerce even possible in an otherwise impassable environment. Okay, so let's look at the long-term result of all these different strategies. The continent's incredible human diversity, all its different cultures, languages, and religions, is the direct product of these thousands of years of adaptation to different environmental challenges. This image from Cairo gives us some pretty critical intelligence. You have a Coptic Christian tower and a mosque dome right in the same frame. It visualizes this deep, layered history of the continent, where different cultural and religious strategies, from indigenous traditions all the way to Christianity and Islam, have taken root and adapted over time. Now, check out this data point: over 1,500 distinct languages. And that's not just a statistic, right? It is the direct result of thousands of years of decentralized adaptation, which created this incredibly complex and diverse human landscape we see today. So let's bring it all together for our final briefing. what are the key strategic takeaways from this whole analysis of living in Africa? Well, first, settlement patterns are the result of strategy, not random chance. They are a calculated response to where the resources are. Second, the environment really dictates the operational model. The most successful cultures were the ones whose way of life was perfectly tailored to their surroundings. And finally, the incredible human diversity we see today, that's the direct outcome, the living legacy of these ancient adaptations. The history of settlement in Africa is just a powerful lesson in strategy. You adapt your model to the environment, and you turn constraints into opportunities. So the final question for this briefing is this: how will these foundational lessons in adaptation and resilience inform the strategies you deploy in your own operating environment?